What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy DMD, and I'm coming at you guys today with my first place Lunalight Deck Profile. Yes, that is right, you heard it, first place. I actually ended up topping with this deck a couple weeks ago. My matchups were Metal Foe Zoo, Domain Monarchs, and Desk Bots, but I ended up topping. The Domain Monarch matchup was the biggest grind game I've ever seen in my life, but I somehow ended up pulling it out. Don't ask me how, I just know I did. So without further ado, let us go on and get into the deck profile. So first up for our monster lineup, we have triple copies of Lunalight Black Sheep. Black Sheep allows us to go into our deck by discarding her and adding polymerization from our deck to our hand. Also, you can pitch her to the graveyard in order to add a Lunalight monster in your graveyard back to your hand. So she's good for searching out poly as well as recyclability with your other Lunalight monsters. Then we are running triple copies of Lunalight White Rabbit. Lunalight White Rabbit, when he's normal summoned, allows us to go into our graveyard and special summon one Lunalight monster from our graveyard to the field in face-up defense mode. Also, once per turn, we can target back row up to the number of Lunalights other than Lunalight White Rabbit that we control, return them to our opponent's hand. Not our spells and traps, but our opponent's. That would be really broken if we were able to use him to recycle our tankies, but sadly it's only our opponent's back row. Then we have triple copies of Lunalight Blue Cat. Now Blue Cat is probably the best card in the deck. If he's special summoned, you can target one Lunalight monster you control and double its attack for the turn. If you use this on a fusion like Cat Dancer, and then proceed to use Cat Dancer's effect to tribute Blue Cat to attack all monsters your opponent controls twice each, you're going to win the game, and that's typically how I won most of my games. Now to special summon out Blue Cat, we typically use the graveyard effect of Lunalight Purple Butterfly. The hand effect of Purple Butterfly is that we can simply discard Purple Butterfly to grave, target a Lunalight monster we control, and it gains 1000 attack. We can then banish Purple Butterfly from our graveyard to special summon one Lunalight from our hand. So that goes really well in tandem with Blue Cat. We play triple Lunalight Tiger. As pendulum effect, once per turn you can target one Lunalight monster in your grave and special summon it. That helps us get resources back so we can fuse more easily. His monster effect is if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, we can special summon a Lunalight in our graveyard. You really don't use him as much, or at least not as much as you use Wolf. Wolf is probably the reason this deck has so much viability, is that even when one of your big fusions gets run over or something, you can use Wolf's pendulum effect to keep up and sort of come back if you ever get hurt. Wolf's pendulum effect is like a miracle fusion for Lunalights. Basically, once per turn, you can fusion summon one Lunalight monster from your extra deck by banishing materials from your field and or graveyard. So if your Cat Dancer were to die or something, you could simply use Wolf's effect to fusion from the graveyard, getting into a Panther Dancer using your Cat Dancer and another Lunalight. And then for our final monster, we are playing one King of the Swamp, just to help out with our poly searches, because you don't always want to search poly with Lunalight Black Sheep. Alright guys, now moving on to spells. We play triple polymerization. Polymerization is self-explanatory. You need it for your fusions. Next we are playing triple Fire Formation Tanky. If Tanky gets hit because of Zodiacs, this deck is really going to take a hit, and we'll probably end up having to use a lot more of Allure of Darkness, which we are playing 2 of right now, but we will have to rely more heavily on Allure. Tanky's a really good searcher because it can search out any Lunalight monster in your deck except for Wolf, so it's a really good card to run at 3. Next, we are playing double Fusion Recycling Plant and double Terraforming to search it out. Fusion Recycling Plant is probably the best spell card in the deck because it allows you to not minus as much during your fusion plays. At the end phase of the turn, if you fusion summon that turn, you can target a fusion material that you use that turn in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. You can also discard a card and add a polymerization from your graveyard or deck to your hand. So it helps you not minus as much on your fusion plays. Then we are playing double fusion tag. This basically allows us to, if we already have 2 Lunalights on board, we can use fusion tag to reveal a Lunalight monster in our extra deck and use that name of that Lunalight as a fusion material for that turn. So say if I have a black sheep and a white rabbit on the field, I can use fusion tag, reveal Cat Dancer, target black sheep, and use black sheep as Cat Dancer if used for a fusion summon that turn. So it helps us get a step up in our fusion plays. Then we are playing double Mash Change 2. Dark Law is probably the reason I topped. Just being honest. That and Cat Dancer with the blue cat special summoned, these two things shut out so many people. Just Dark Law and a boosted up Cat Dancer. Dark Law is too good. If you make him going first, you just win. You win against zoos, you win against even monarchs if you're going first, because you can just rip a card out of their hand every time they use tenacity. Then we are playing double Lunalight Perfume. Perfume is great because it helps us special summon our blue cat out from the graveyard more easily, so you don't necessarily always have to have a white rabbit. Also, Perfume's secondary effect is that you can banish it from your graveyard, discard a card, and search out a Lunalight from your deck and add it to your hand. So it helps out with that consistency as well. Now finally for the staples, we've got 1 Raigeki, just really good for blowing up boards. You don't really rely on Raigeki as much as because you've got Cat Dancer that can swing over anything by battle, so if it can be destroyed by battle, it's not really that much of a problem. But in the case that you can go into Leo Dancer first turn and just hit him for even maybe game, depending on the combo and what you have in your hand, Raigeki is just a good card. Upstart, because drawing that extra +1 and having the 39 card deck is just really handy. Double Allure of Darkness, because literally everything we play in the deck besides our Pendulum monsters are dark. The Pendulum's in King of the Swamp, of course, but most everything in the deck is dark. So it's really good to have Allure of Darkness. And finally, 1 Pot of Acquisitiveness. This card is really good late game because you banish a lot using Wolf's Pendulum effect. So having the ability to get all those banished monsters back, shuffle in the deck, and then draw a card is really, really helpful as well. And finally, for the traps, we just play 1 Solemn Warning. Just getting that quick summon negation is just too good, and if you use it right on your opponent's first turn, you probably are going to win the duel. Alrighty, moving on to the extra deck. We play double Lunalight Cat Dancer. Cat Dancer is a really powerful card. Basically, we contribute 1 Lunalight monster. This turn, the first time our opponent's monsters would be destroyed, they are not destroyed. Also, Cat Dancer can attack all monsters your opponent controls twice each this turn. So you are able to spread out a lot of damage on board. If you use a Cat Dancer on her to bump her up to 4,800, you more than likely will end up winning the game right there, because that's just so much damage that your opponent really won't be able to do anything about it if they don't have any trap cards or anything. She can also not be destroyed by battle, which is really good for their turn, your opponent's turn. If they have a way to get over 2,400, which they probably will, it's just good to be able to stay alive just another turn. So you can use another purple butterfly or a blue cat on Cat Dancer just to make her get bumped up again. So she's really good. Next we have double Panther Dancer. Panther Dancer has a similar effect, but with Panther Dancer you don't have to tribute a monster. And instead of dealing 100 damage to your opponent each time it declares an attack, it basically has the same attack, 2,800 base, the entire turn until the second time that it attacks a monster. So basically, you can attack all your opponent's monsters 1 time for free, and basically her attack doesn't go up at all. But after she physically destroys a monster by attacking it twice, she will gain 200. so she keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And again, if you use a blue cat on her, she gets up to 5,600 without tankies or anything, or purple butterflies on the field. So she's really powerful. Next, you play double of your ultimate boss monster, Lunalight Leo Dancer. She cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and she's 3,500 base. So most players, if they really don't have any out besides targeted destruction or just straight up Regeki Dark Hole, they really can't get over Leo Dancer. Like I said, she's 3,500 and she cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. She can attack twice, and at the end of the damage step, if she attacked a monster, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. Moving on to our non-Lunalight monsters, we play one Masked Hero Darklaw. I'm thinking about bumping that up to 2 because it's just like instant GG when you flip up Mass Change 2 on a Lunalight monster. And basically, because all your Lunalight monsters are dark, Darklaw has a really good synergy with the deck, and you can just use Mass Change 2 spontaneously with almost anything. Next, moving on to the Xyz, we have one Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. Tiger King is kind of harder to make because getting 2 blue cats on board is kind of rare. You don't really use him a lot, but he's really good because you can detach one material and negate all monsters on the field except for Beast Warriors. So your opponent basically gets stunned for like a turn and a half. And also when he's XYZ summoned, you get a free tanky search and you get to set it right to your field. So Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King, while it's kind of harder to go into him, he's really good when you actually get to him. One Herald of Pure Light. Herald of Pure Light is really good just to recycle resources that you say don't need and getting stuff from the graveyard that you do need. So he's a really good card for that. Sky Cavalry Centauria is another really good rank 2, probably the best rank 2 in the deck, because it can just beat over any big monster your opponent has. It can't be destroyed by battle. And if it attacked a monster at the end of the damage step, you can detach a material and bounce that monster back to your opponent's hand. So it's really powerful to just get over big stuff that you can't swing over with Leo Dancer. But honestly, that's basically nothing, because if you get Leo Dancer on board, you're set. So, and finally, we have one Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. I don't make this quite a lot, but it is good to go into sometimes. It's just really helpful to just negate your opponent's monster effects if they have a really problematic monster. So, one Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. I would also recommend playing another Darklaw because it's really powerful. And also, with the Wolf Pendulum effect, you can Miracle Fusion Lunalights from your extra deck once per turn. So you can make double Cat Dancer first turn if you open with Wolf. So I would also recommend playing a couple rank 7s, Draco Sack, Big Eye, and cards like that are really handy. If you can get out Big Eye, it's extremely powerful. That's why I'm looking for a Big Eye, I just don't have one at the moment. So anyway guys, that is my Lunalight deck profile. I'm really excited for this deck. I've already topped with it at locals once against Domain Monarchs and Zoo Metal Foes and a couple other really tough decks. But I'm really excited to see what this deck can do in Link format as well, because you only really need one extra deck monster on board, say a Cat Dancer, and then you can just boost it up with Purple Butterfly and Blue Cat. So you don't really need to spam from the extra deck that much. But anyway guys, let me know what you think about my deck profile in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback, and I am going to go ahead and recommend this deck to anybody who likes fusion decks, because it is a very solid contender for a really good fusion deck come Link format, and even right now it's still really potent. But anyway guys, that is it for me. This is DMD and I am out.